Hey, friends, welcome to another episode of the Call to Farms podcast. I'm your host, Sophie Ng, author of The Nourishing Asian Kitchen and also known as Sprinkle with Soil, joined by my husband, Tim.
I'm Tim Ng, the homesteading agent. Happy to be here and looking forward to chat more about our homestead and a market update for May.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it is 11:58 p.m. And I start off with that because we want to make sure that we are dedicated to showing up, even if it's after hours. All right, so let's talk about the market update, what I'm seeing in the mortgage industry. So right now, I have been locking my clients between 6 to 7, 7.25. It really depends on your scenario, but rates are teetering right under 7% right now. It is a decrease from what we were seeing back in January. And because of that, you actually are seeing quite an influx of people come to the door. And remember, I've talked about this before, or we have both talked about how buy now, because once interest rates drop, you're going to get a lot more competition. Everyone's going to be pouring into the market because they've been waiting for this moment and that home. And guess what, guys? We're not making more homesteads with acreage. All right.
That's absolutely right. And I hope everyone had a nice Mother's Day because I actually got a chance to take a break. I know Mother's Day is honoring you, but I got to take a break because the past 2 weeks was just super busy. So many buyers coming from out of state, coming into East Tennessee and just exploring the areas and actually making offers. It is a buyer's market overall, and there's just such a heightened activity. I've also seen that there are more cash buyers. So not only are buyers super serious, they're selling their properties, but they're also competing with cash buyers. And they're not investor buyers that are lowballing. These are cash offers over asking.
It's interesting to see because we also have a lot of clients that have purchased in the last month before their retirement 6 months from now, because once they retire from Florida or from New York, that's when they're going to sell their homestead or their home where they're at and move into the homestead that they have bought now.
Mm.
So there have been some clients that have reached out and have prematurely said, hey, we're ready to purchase now, get into contract. But because the market is as hot as it is, these offers aren't getting accepted because of the competition. We're to seeing California competition again, aren't we?
We absolutely are. So if you are seriously looking and are a buyer right now, I will ask that you need to have some patience when going out there. Not only are you going to be hyper focused and know exactly what you want, so refining the data spreadsheet that you have out there and just dialing it in to the must have and non negotiables and zeroing in on that neighborhood, on that town, but be patient because it is a super competitive market out there.
I know. Even as we're seeing rates in the 6%, it is. And in some ways, I could say that the market has slowed down for homes that are on smaller parcels of land. So something like half an acre, we're starting to see those home prices, like basically suburbia, we're
Yeah.
seeing those home prices drop slightly. But where we're seeing above and more competitive offers are for the homestead. So homes that have a little bit more land on them, as again, land is so hot right now. We're not making any more of it. Any new houses are going to be put into these smaller cookie cutter homes, which are beautiful, but they're not, it's not profitable for a developer to
Mhm.
come in and put a home on 5 acres.
Absolutely. If you're looking for a property that's on half acre or less, you're not going to have too much of a problem getting your offer accepted, finding that property, and in fact, getting seller concession. I know nationwide, 40% of sellers are offering concessions. What I'm seeing in Tennessee, it's almost like 90% are offering seller concessions. And yes, the new builders, they can't even give away their homes. Those new builders, they're offering lots of incentives. So if you're one of those that needs to have a new build because of warranties or near schools or being in the city, you're not going to have any issues with that because you're going to get some really good discounts there. Where I'm seeing an issue is that if you're looking for 5 acres on up and you want land along with that property, and a lot of my buyers are savvy, they're looking for mold free. Now, mold free, let's talk about that for instance. In Tennessee and in the South, there is no such thing as a mold free home. It does require lots of maintenance. A dehumidifier is always going on all floors. So there's constant maintenance, but I always highly encourage my buyers to get a mold test done.
Yeah. There's some level of remediation that you could buy. There are machines out there. Sometimes we get people who are extra crunchy because of who we are and what we represent and what we believe in. And so we have a lot of clients who ask us for clean water, the cleanest water, the cleanest air, no cell phone towers within a 3-mile radius. And sometimes it's nearly impossible and mold free. It's really difficult. I'd say if you can get to 80% of what you're looking for, you're 100% there.
Yeah. I'm also finding this very strange dichotomy here with the buyers. I have buyers who have really high budgets, but they don't really know where they want to be. There's Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, either or. And then I have clients who are hyper focused. They know exactly what they want, but they don't have the budget. And I'm just finding this huge disparity in terms of income or savings, in terms of buying power.
Interesting you say that. I think that Joel Salatin wrote a book called The Homestead Tsunami, and we were part of the first wave, I feel, right? Where right when 2020 hit, we started homesteading in 2017 on our quarter acre, but we started really small. We started on the balcony. Not a balcony, but like one of those planter beds for mom's pho garden bed, which was cilantro and scallions. But the tsunami really hit in 2020, 2021, 2022.
Yep.
And we have been riding multiple waves. Right now, it is really high. Like I feel like the tsunami has already hit and now it's just sitting at its height right now. And either you're going to have to figure out how to get above the water with this because the market is getting more expensive. It is getting more expensive to farm. The inputs are expensive. Buying hay, having access to hay if you're going to have ruminants on your land, fencing costs with the tariffs, everything is getting a lot more expensive. In fact, Vigo Gardens, which is one of the brands that we work with for their raised garden beds, they sent us out something in like mid-April. I got a text from them that said, hey, if you're wanting pre-tariff prices on our garden beds, order now, right? Before this all sells out and the next batch comes from overseas. So it's just really interesting to see because we are seeing farming get more and more expensive, which we predicted as a worst case when we started farming and telling our family who thought we were crazy back in 2020 that we should slow down, take it easy. Everything's going to go back to normal is what we kept hearing, the common theme. But we said, you know what? We will hope and pray for that, but we will also plan for if things don't get better. And in the off chance they do get worse and we're dealing with hyperinflation, we're dealing with a recession, we will be in a better position.
Yeah. And it was already very difficult to even get into homesteading, get into farming before. It was so expensive just to purchase land, purchase tools, machinery. Now the costs have gone up. And not only that, the skills too. Learning the skills has gotten more difficult because there's just so much noise online that you can't sift through it all to find out who are just influencers and who are actually providing real knowledge and providing real skills that you can actually learn from.
Yeah. Let me just tell you, last March 2024, I spent some time with an influencer down in Florida who shared the story about how, multiple stories on her Instagram. She's heavily focused on Instagram. And she would share these stories about her family and milking her cow and writing this cookbook and baking and all of this. Come to find out, I spent 3 weeks with her. I brought all my gear, I brought my boots and everything. And she only milked her cow twice and bought all of her dairy products from Azure, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Azure products are great. I'm saying you just don't know from influencers online, and you got to be careful. There's, to your point, so much noise, and you have to know the people who have been doing it for a long time, who have invested not just their time, but their money, who've failed and have come to show you how they failed and what they learned from it.
Absolutely. They show up well on camera, but it's what they do off camera. Are they really staying true and doing homesteading work? Are they actually doing the work?
You can also tell if someone's profile or someone's story has only been 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 years and they have a large following. It doesn't mean that they've been homesteading. It means that they figured out the algorithms. It figures out that they figured that out. It doesn't mean that they have done the work. And I'll tell you what, the people who are doing the work don't actually have time to be recording at the same time that they're actually doing the work. It makes it very difficult. And to be able to get that growth in a short amount of time, you need to be cautious.
That's right. I want to go back to tariffs. We were just talking about that because of the cost of everything going up. We recently got our AC looked at because it's getting warm here.
AC is the HVAC for those who.
Okay, the HVAC. And I was having a conversation because I want to learn how they're fixing it, how he's fixing the HVAC. And I asked, what are the effects of tariffs? And he said, actually, before the tariffs, there were environmental laws that came into effect. So all the new condensers are already more expensive, and the tariffs have definitely done that as well. They've already increased the cost of it. So that's something that is not advertised, but it is a helpful tip. If you've been saving on a major, I don't know, appliance at home or some sort of repair and you should probably consider getting it sooner than later because the cost of these things are going up, like cost of automobiles and whatnot.
And I want to just bring up a conversation that I had with someone at our local Walmart here when I was just asking him about the rising costs. Our coconut water has gone up. Coconut water, my favorite, is available at Walmart and typically the lowest price, $8.99. It's now $10.29, higher than Whole Foods. And so I'd asked him, like, are you seeing the tariff have an effects or the tariff having effects on other goods and products out there? He said, yes, we do. But what Trump's doing, it's just going to be settled in a matter of weeks and everything will go back to normal. And I remember him just listening to him tell me that things were going to go back to normal. I have PTSD and trauma, obviously, over those words, but it really made me think about how that's how they usher things in, right? No one's going to tell you that it's going to get really bad. Nobody wants to hear that. It would send the whole world into chaos. But if they tell you that it's just a temporary thing, it's like boiling the pot just a little bit at a time. You're not going to feel it. It's just going to be a little warm in here.
Boiling the frog.
Boiling the frog. Right.
I don't know why a frog, but
yes.
boiling a frog.
But soon you will find out that that's how they get you. Look, I'm just saying, if you've listened in on our series with Mom and interviewing her time in Vietnam and the fall of Saigon, a lot of that philosophy that she's had and a lot of that experience that she had back then has passed on. And I've just learned a lot by stories and by history. So be prudent. We can hope and be innocent as doves, but we do have to be, and we're called to be wise.
Absolutely. one thing I want to talk about is that even though we were talking about tariffs and the rising costs of things, that is why I absolutely love the homesteading world and this homesteading life, because we have bartering, but we're not supposed to use that word. We share with one another. So the cost of things don't really go up. Instead, we exchange for things and we continue to give to one another. So I want to talk about a little bit about our livestock situation, because homestead management is something that is continually going on. And even though we've been homesteading for going on like 7 to 8 years now, because we moved on to this 40-acre property, we had to hurry up and put in a paddock to get our animals over. But then spring caught up really quickly. The grass grew really fast, and we didn't put in the other paddock. So we didn't get the fencing in yet. The animals ran out of hay and needed some more grass, needed some more hay. We just pulled in our network, asked for hay, and we were able to get some hay. But
You have to understand that at this point, yes, we're starting to get grass, but not everybody has access to it right now. And so everyone at this point, everywhere in this area, is hoarding on to whatever hay that they have left
that's true.
because it's not ready yet to be hayed.
It's not the haying season.
The
for
haying
the,
season.
for the first cut is not, we're not there yet. So you're absolutely right. People who have hay, they're hanging on to it as reserve hay right now. So that's why it is a big deal that I was able to get hay. And it wasn't bad hay. It was actually really good hay, no spray hay. I exchanged milk for hay. And my normal hay guy, he didn't have hay at this time, right? He says that he has a vested interest in providing our jerseys with the best possible hay because he is consuming the milk. I share the story with my new hay guy, the one who had the extra hay for me this time around. And he said, "Whoa, you have milk? Does that mean you have butter?" And I was like, "No, we don't sell butter. But for you and your hay, I will make butter for you." And he said, "You know what? We'll just exchange a stick of butter for
It's a
one
very
round bale,
big stick, a pound of butter for how much hay?
for one round bale of hay
That's incredible. And that will feed our cows
a week."
a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so cool. It is so neat because it's different when, I don't know, I'm not as motivated to make this butter to sell it for money. But if I can exchange this pound of butter, which, I mean, it's pretty hefty, we roll it, it's pretty
It's
hefty.
raw butter
And
from our grass-fed
it's
cow.
golden yellow. It's beautiful. Great on bread. In fact, our girls like to have butter with a little bit of bread and bite into it and see their teeth marks in it because that's how much butter they put on it. So we're definitely following the Weston A. Price butter on everything. But to exchange the pound of butter for this round bale of hay, which, I mean, this thing is massive and is going to feed our livestock for a week, which buys me more time so I can actually get proper fencing in so that the fencing actually lasts like 30 years. I don't have to fix it afterwards, but you always need to do maintenance on it just to make sure it's up and running. That's worth it.
And we also found him because of our dear friend who's
Mhm.
Tennessee Farmer of the Year. And he raises amazing cattle that we also share with our milk for
It's beef.
his beef.
Yeah.
And so I share the story. If you've been with us long enough, you've heard about our story and the chickens that we bought on March 16, 2020.
Mm.
We bought our hens. During that time, everything shut down in California. So I want to just preface that if you hadn't heard the story before, everything had shut down in California. We had gone into lockdowns and curfews. And so the first thing I did that night when we went into lockdown was I fled to this woman in Mill Valley. She still sells her chickens. We bought 3 egg-laying hens at that time at 7:30 at night for $300 each. And that's because of the supply and demand. And the next day when we asked her to buy more, she had sold out of her huge flock already. So people were scrambling in the Bay Area. So I share that because one, I'm not proud of it, but two, I share it because you should see the hope that you have, right? Because it was from that painful moment, it was that aha moment for us that changed the trajectory of our entire lives. And we've traded those three chickens that fed our family a little bit to three dairy cattle. I remember it was like 3 years later in 2023 that we had three dairy cows. And those dairy cows work for our homestead, not just to feed our family, to feed our animals, to feed our meat chicken, to feed our dogs, but to feed our community. And now beyond that, to nourish our community and to be able to work together because of that. And Tim and I don't have a lot of time to go out into the community and spend that time with everybody just because we've got children and we have a farm and we work full time and we run a business and have a podcast together where we're talking at midnight. And so, what the milk and the dairy affords us is the ability to not sell so much as it is to give to our community, which then they give back multitude times to us back because of the dairy. It is more important for us to be there for one another and share resources.
Yeah, it's good for relationship building. And one thing I want to note is that coming from the city, it is a mindset shift where we go away from, you know what, I'm going to hire someone or I'm going to pay for that. I'm going to pay $300 for a chicken because that is the going rate and I need to buy it and I have no other choice. So I'm going to pay $300 so I can have a hen that lays eggs to now all of a sudden, okay, you're homesteading. I don't have to own every single piece of equipment. I don't have to raise every single type of animal because I have community and I can rely on one another. And you have to find something that you're going to be able to share in, whether it's a skill set or a product like dairy, for instance, and be able to exchange that for someone else. Maybe they have services, a handyman service, or they're an electrician, or maybe they have chickens or beef, for instance. You have to make do with what you've got. And it's not going to happen by spending everything you've got because you want to be able to have endurance. This is like a marathon. Okay. You don't want to get burnt out. And the homestead burnout rate is 4 years as average time. And you want to be able to sustain this for you and for your loved ones. So this is great. I'd share the story because we have come a long way. The whole thing about going to your neighbors to borrow a cup of sugar, that is truly what happens in the country. But in any case, moving from it, I hope, I don't know, is this like a West Coast shift, mind shift to in the South where you get to know your neighbor and actually have real conversations with them?
I think it's just the lifestyle. When you
Yeah.
live in the city, it's just a crazy hustle and bustle. I just went back to California for my uncle's funeral, if you listen to the last few episodes. And I kid you not, the roads are terrible. Everyone's got like literally on top of one another. There's cell phone towers everywhere. Everyone's on their devices. Everyone's got an electrical vehicle. You're getting zapped like constantly that even though you don't see it, my first 2 days there, I was telling you, I said, I have this crazy headache and it's not a normal headache, not a migraine. It was like a constant like pressure on my frontal lobe, right? To like the middle of my head. And I'm like, this is not normal. And so you had said, it's maybe because we live in the mountains and we live in nature. So like we don't have that dissonance. And going back into the city, you now like you're bombarded, your body, your nervous system is bombarded with everything.
Yeah.
Though even though you don't see it, your body knows and feels it. There's a lot of that. I think that because of that, and then layer that on top of the 54% in taxes that you have to pay for in living there, and everybody working like 80 hours a week. And so even though you live near potentially like the ocean and how beautiful it is, you don't actually get to go out there and ground yourself or disconnect from all of this, all of the connections here to just be. And yeah, you take that and you're just short with everybody because you don't feel good inside. I didn't feel good. And it's different from people who live out in the country. Yes, things are slower. We don't have a lot of cars out here. We don't have a lot of anything out here, really, except for trees. And so you like on a busy day, like if I finish a meeting, I'll go outside on the porch and just look at the green leaves and feel so blessed that we can do that, that I can have a phone call hide. Like it is a beautiful thing to be able to do. It's hard because you do have to give up a lot of the convenient things that you have access to in the city, but you do try to find that balance. At least for us, that is something that was important for us.
Absolutely. And one thing I won't miss about the city is the disingenuous conversations where they're just surface level. And if you ever go out to lunch with someone or go to dinner with someone, it's always because there's a motive behind it. It's like there's some sort of business transaction. You're meeting with someone because you're trying to sell something and they're trying to sell something to you. There's never because they really want to get to know how you and your family are doing. Whereas in the South, you can strike up a conversation with just a
Amen.
stranger, even at a TJ Maxx or at a store, and they would just sit and talk your ear off.
Okay. So I was working at the coffee shop the other day and I was working there twice. And this last time that I was there on Tuesday, I had bought some Mother's Day flowers from this woman who had just placed like this beautiful bouquet at my table while I was working. So I wanted to support her. Her flowers are just beautiful. And I'm entering this phase of like really not forcing because they are beautiful, but I'm really like forcing myself to slow down and literally smell the flowers, right? And be like really allow myself to be captivated by them. So I went and bought these flowers from her last week and prepped for Mother's Day. And then on Tuesday, I was working out of the same coffee shop. I really like this one because it's hidden away. Nobody really knows it's there. And there's a lot of chargers. I can charge everything and work. And it's quiet and I love it. And so the woman who made the flowers, she came out and she said, "Hey, I want to bring my daughter to you." And somehow for a good 40 minutes, we were all like already sharing our stories and our values and how we farm and where we come from, our faith and where we are now, like, and how we know mutual people. It's really cool. And she does similar work as I do in marketing. And like those conversations wouldn't happen in
Yeah.
the Bay Area. There's no time for it to
Mhm.
happen. You got to get back to work. And we did. We were like, okay, we got to get back to work. That was 15 minutes. And then we were like, okay, it's 40 minutes now. We really do have to get back to work. But it was a good break because it just reinvigorates you for the day. That true human connection doesn't happen through this device, right? Or this device. It really is truly face to face and seeing people, seeing their smiles, seeing
Mhm.
their expressions on their face. And yeah, I can keep going.
There is something about you in coffee shops, local coffee shop. That's how you meet the people, meet the community. Speaking of community, we are hosting our second annual Homesteaders United Jamboree.
That's right.
And this conference is unlike any other homesteading conference. Okay. Last year was such a big hit because we focused on building community and we wanted everyone to stay there. So we provided tent sites, we provided nourishing food. So it wasn't just your run of the mill junk food that you can buy. No, we provided it all and everyone was considered a VIP. There was no upcharge to pay so that you can speak with the speakers and things like that. So we are doing it one more time this year, end of August. I believe. What are the dates?
28th through 30th. It's right before Labor Day, same as we did last year. So cancel your Labor Day plans and come spend it with us. We have early bird tickets taking place right now. You can save up to as much as $100, and that applies to your family bundle tickets. So we really are having it all inclusive this year with the food. And that's one of the things that's clearly important to me. I wrote the Nourishing Asian Kitchen Cookbook. And as a homesteader who's gone to so many conferences, I've spoken at so many, and it's been a great experience, especially with Weston A. Price. That's something that we truly value, in that you go and listen and you learn, and people talk about the dangers and the harmful effects of cytotoxins. I've talked about that, and seed oils. Yet when it's break time or when it's lunchtime or dinner time, we have food trucks out there that's literally serving you hot dogs, right? Or deep fried food in vegetable oil or canola oil. And so like the difference and it's like contradictory to what we teach and what you just learned. And so clearly food is important to me. I will be managing all of the meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner,
That's right.
and working with incredible teammates that I'm selecting that I know understand the same food values
That's right.
as I do, as we do, and the principles that we follow.
That's right.
So that with early bird tickets, you will be able to save the most on those, because we are including all inclusive, meaning the food's included, and we are including 3 meals this time. Last year, I think we just did dinner. That's what it was.
Just dinner.
Yeah, because I will be stepping in to be the chef. There were some complications last year with the quality. And so I'll be stepping in. I'll be overseeing everything. You can trust that your food will be very well prepared. And so those tickets, the early bird tickets for adults and children, I think you save $50 off of adults, and then children are an extra $30 or so.
I'm excited. We're foodies. You know that we're going to have some delicious food there, and it's going to be covered. It's all going to be all inclusive for the food. It's almost like going on a cruise. Okay. Everything's covered, except you're not going to get the junky cruise food. Now, the workshops, if you come to this event, you are going to get some hands-on workshops. We call it 2.0 because most homesteading events you go to, you sit there and you listen to a speaker. Not at ours. At this one, which we are putting together with the Fit Farmer and his family, that we are going to have hands-on workshops on how to harvest ducks and chickens, as well as how to harvest sheep. And we're going to do multiple sheep too. And you're going to get your hands on. And this time around, we're going to show you how to do it the most humane way of dispatching the animal, and also how to do proper cuts as well. So it's going to be a very full event. We're going to keep it an intimate as well. So you're going to have lots of hands-on time.
Like Sierra says, it's like the Homesteading 2.0, not conference, because it's not really a conference, but it's like a festival where you come and you learn hands-on, and you're not going to be afraid to. Not to say that you might be afraid to, but we do have a lot of people who are just wanting to learn all about homesteading, what it's all about, and kind of get a broad overview first, and then plan. That's how we started. You have to get an idea of what does homesteading even entail, and what are the costs associated with it? What's the level of effort and the resources needed? And then you can prioritize what you want on your farm, right? So we always thought this would be like, after you figured that out, then you talk about how do we raise and how do we harvest chickens, which we all know is the gateway animal into the homesteading world. And then like us, we did that. And then we went into ruminants, and the first animals we got were goats and sheep. And even if you're not even there and you just want chickens, but you hunt your deer, for example, and you hunt your game, you're now able to take these skills home and do it for you, and do it at home. And one of the things that we really appreciate, because I actually took the class from Stacy Carr, who will be your instructor here at the Homesteaders United, what was really neat is that she understood the challenges that I had in dispatching the animal because of the fact that I am a woman. And one of the things that she said to me was, "You're struggling." I'm like, "How come the boys didn't struggle?" She said, "You're struggling because as a female and as a mom, you are a life giver. So it goes really against like your ethos and your philosophy to take a life." And so that really helped me in having that perspective, because we've actually taken a outdoor survival school trained instructor who taught us how to do it the primitive way, how to harvest our sheep the primitive way. But this was extremely unique because one, she brought the biblical way, which is important for us to understand, but also scientifically, which in doing it the right way, you're ensuring the cleanest meat and it's not tainted and it's delicious.
I'm glad you brought that up. This event is for everyone of all ages and of all experiences too. Just need to come. You don't have to feel like you have to pass a certain level in order to come and participate in this event. We call it a jamboree. And it's also for all ages as well. In fact, we encourage the little ones to do it. You're going to see our little ones doing it because we're going to keep it safe. Safety is our number one priority. And we're going to teach it in a way that everyone is going to stay safe and is going to enjoy the process and actually learn from it, so that the goal is that everyone goes away from it feeling confident that they can do it themselves. Really excited about this jamboree. It's going to be held in North Carolina again, but it's going to be in Concord, so you can marry it up with your Labor Day plans in Charlotte. There's so many things to do. You're going to have a great time.
Okay. And just so you know, early bird tickets, there's a limit to 50, and we've already sold quite a few. So get your early bird tickets now. And then we're announcing that we are actually giving away 20 camping spots. So if you are a camper and you want to camp with your family, we had several people ask us if we were going to do that again. So we did open it up to 20 campers that the site will allow.
Tent campers, not RV.
Sorry, tent campers. Yes. Although there is an RV
Park
campground 20 minutes away, which we might be there.
Yes, at the Charlotte Speedway. Yes.
Yes, I think that's what it is.
Okay.
So check it out. It's homesteadersunited.com. And it is the Jamboree. All of the details will be on there. All the speakers, our sponsors, information on travel and lodging, and purchasing your tickets through there. There's a code. We'll have it down below. It's Early Bird 2025. And you want to make sure that you come to this event. There's a limited amount of tickets, and we definitely want to see you and your family there.
Tell your family and friends to come to it because this is unlike any other.
All right, friends, it is a late night already for us. Thank you so much for joining us on this update for May. We have many more announcements, 2 really big ones coming up, but we will just wait a little bit. So we'll see you in June for our market update.
All right. Until then, stay healthy, guys.